Howdy! Welcome to Busted Knees and Pretty Trees. I believe things are officially in high gear around here. The camping gear is airing out. The farmer's tan is returned. I've already lost a pair of binoculars.
and a phone camera.
And I hope you're all finding your way outside as well. Last episode, we had urban wildlife biologist Jessica Merkling from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources on. Despite Patrick's expectations, she was not a heavy assault trooper with close air support, demanding we comply with Indiana fish and wildlife regulations.
Yeah, that was my bad.
I don't think it was necessary. We needed to hide behind the bushes upon
Dude,
her
she
arrival.
was awesome. She was awesome. I was so
Yes.
happy to have her on. Great friend of the podcast forever.
In fact, Jessica was quite the opposite of those expectations. I believe she arrived in a compact SUV of some sort.
Yep.
We had a lot of fun learning about the challenges, success stories, and bitter truths that come with managing wildlife in and around our urban spaces. It's a complex and fascinating field of study we don't often think about. Great episode. Y'all should take a listen. Thanks again, Jessica, and also thank you, Indiana DNR, for sending a cool biologist and not the enforcement droid from the 1987 cinematic masterpiece, RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh, Murphy.
You're Murphy. Yeah.
Quite the imagination,
Damn.
old man.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Jessica. That was super cool.
Big time.
I am Travis White, and I'm happy that I put a canoe on top of my truck, and I thought it looked really badass.
It looked studly, dude. You looked good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One disappointment was my choice of tie down for the bow, which was not properly rated, and the front shifted a few inches left of center, and it drove me nuts the entire drive that way.
Yeah.
We were all aware of that.
Okay. Yeah.
That shift scared the shit out of me when it happened. Lesson learned. So always make sure that you have the proper tie downs or bring a handy friend like my man here who, after a couple warm-ups, can fashion a wicked trucker's hitch to button things up in a pinch. I had supreme confidence in that knot, the noble knotsman, Bradley Greer.
Thank you. It did definitely take me a little while to get the orientation right. And that's always the challenge.
Orientation.
You're always in a different position, like different circumstance.
Oh, yeah. That it? You know,
It's hard.
It is. Like, you got shit coming from different directions.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I was proud of that. I was proud of that thing. Made it all the way home. Canoe didn't shift once.
That being
Nice.
said, I did not feel safe. I did not have interstate confidence in that knot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that thing is
We
a
took the back
sail.
roads.
It's still a sail on top of the truck.
So thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
I would also like to thank our house river captain. This past weekend, he took us on an adventure that was waterlogged with nothing but fun, adventure, tales to be told, and memories we won't soon forget. Our proud paddle daddy, Patty Richardson.
That's the title of the episode.
That's it, dude. We just nailed it. I believe now I can say ahoy.
Yes.
Right? Now it's on point.
Paddle Daddy Patty.
Battle Daddy Patty, dude.
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
I remember a point right in the middle of the trip where we stopped on a sandbar and Brad tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, "Look at Patrick over there, just standing there, hands on the hips,
Yeah.
With the
just
beer in his
looking at
hand.
us."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was-
just-
I
Looking at
remember-
us with the biggest smile on his face.
I remember that moment. Well, dude, when I have good friends and family out on a river, just sitting, especially when we're just taking a cash trip, like, you know, coolers full of beer,
Yep.
stuff like that. That just brings such joy. It's so nice to look at all my friends and family and just be like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Great day too.
And especially, I feel like that river was the perfect amount of chaos to keep everybody laughing and on their toes and like messing up.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
it was impossible to not get stuck in a tree or something. At some
Everybody
point.
has stuck. Maybe not you.
I
'cause
mean,
you seemed like
gotta
you
say,
didn't
dude,
struggle at all
When
with
I
anything.
was watching everyone, I like Ashley finally told me, she's like, just keep your mouth shut. Like we're having fun. I was like, all right, because it concerned me how much paddling forward everybody was doing.
When we got back, I watched a YouTube video about how to paddle a canoe, and I completely understand what you were talking about now. So
it was, you guys made it fun, and I love that, but you could have made it a hell of a lot easier.
for it. Yeah.
Travis or Patrick saw some destruction, like straight on firsthand.
Oh, well, now that you mention it, I wanted to bring a little thing out here. A piece of debris from Brad and I's first canoe wreck.
And
I shellacked the shit out of it.
Yes.
Oh, you did shellac it?
All right.
And I marked it Pigeon River 2026.
Cool.
Oh, damn.
That's so fun.
I don't know what we're going to do with it, but it stands
as
like
a description, it's about like a 3 to 4 inch diameter log that me and Travis broke off of a downed tree by running straight into it.
That Grumman
beautiful.
canoe, though, went straight through
Oh,
it.
yeah,
it did.
Come on.
And Travis was the captain of the ship at the time, too. I'm
Wait,
just
hold
saying.
on. Was I?
Yeah, you were in the back.
Yeah, you were.
Well, that was the second wreck where you flew out the front.
You were
This was
the captain then, too.
Damn. Well, it was my first time, you know. Give a guy a break.
Yeah. That was a great trip.
Yeah, it was a
dudes.
blast.
I had a great time.
Yeah, that was
Camping
so
was
much fun.
also, the mosquitoes got a little rough, but that was fun. I want to take you guys out there, and I want to be the captain of your canoe, and I want you to see exactly how I would do it, just to see if there's some clarity.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got a little more knowledge now with the J paddle.
Yeah.
Or
Wait.
the Canadian style.
Yeah.
You got
I feel like
that?
I did pretty good.
Yeah.
You always do.
Yeah, I think you did good.
The further I went on, the more I was figuring out how to steer, like back paddle.
The issue that you had was Travis was paddling.
Right.
And that's the other
Yeah.
big no-no.
Yeah.
Is until the back guy says paddle once up here, don't touch the
That's
water.
why I eventually
ever.
was
It's
like,
so
okay.
boring being up front.
I was like, let's switch so you can see what I'm talking about
Yeah.
by you just randomly paddling.
Yeah,
all
it's
the time.
actually really boring to be up front in a canoe going down, unless it's, of course, like a faster, more technical river like
yeah,
that.
not unless you're getting thrown from said canoe.
Yeah. Hey, really quick though, we also have Farron in the house.
Hey, what's up,
Yeah.
y'all?
Yeah, Farron's my longtime buddy. We met each other in 4th grade, and we've just been kicking it ever since.
Absolutely.
Farron's up here from Indianapolis, decided to join the podcast for a little bit of all the stuff we're going to talk about today, which
And
is
I'm
a shitload
glad.
of conservation.
Because I've
Yeah.
always been saying we got this extra seat.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
fill
this
it.
is
Let's
awesome.
fill it.
Thanks for letting me join y'all.
Dude, thank you for being down here, Farron. You're my bro, homie.
So
Yeah,
when
man.
Patrick was in 4th grade, that was what, like 83, 84?
That's real fucking
we can talk
funny.
about that.
These
Yeah.
guys call me old. Farron was playing basketball at Camp Crosley, and I said, "Can I play with you?" And he said, "Yeah." And then we've been kicking it ever since.
Damn, you didn't
dude.
at least
Those
say,
were the
like,
90s,
you
baby.
Any, you any good?
Yeah, nope, didn't even say that.
We have one thing that we should definitely mention. We had Ashley and Debbie with us, but we also had Kirsten.
Our beloved.
She came.
She did
Yeah.
come in a
On
drop
short
of a,
notice.
on short notice. Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was
and
amazing.
she was a hero.
Yes.
But that's a tale for another day because we're going to do, I think, our next podcast on perhaps our trip that we took
That's right. We do want to cover some
along
of that.
Pigeon River.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We got a News Panther up, and this is the first News Panther in a couple weeks. I'm a little psyched about it.
Yeah, and I kind of went along with the theme of today's episode.
Which, just throw out there, the theme of this episode is going to be conservation.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about conservation and what conservation is, and talking to a lot of conservationists. Conservationists. But tonight we just want to cover some of the wins that we think are awesome in conservation.
Yeah.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
All right. Well, the story that I wanted to cover was because I had just come across an article about the Endangered Species Act, and they were covering mainly what the big wins have been since the act, because this act does require funding from Congress, and in recent years, it's become more and more under attack because a big part of what the ESA protects is the habitat that animals are in, as well as the animals themselves.
ESA?
Yeah. Endangered Species Act.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So some people like are fighting against it because it is so restrictive. Like let us drill oil. Like they just opened up the in Minnesota, the boundary waters. Yeah, the headwaters to the boundary waters. They just like opened it to mining.
Like restrictive to like industry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What the fart?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's people fighting against the Endangered Species Act, saying like it costs too much money and everything. So I'm going to kind of go through what the act is, how it became what it is, and then some of the big wins that it's had. So it was passed in 1973 and is the primary law in the USA for protecting and conserving imperiled species from extinction as, and I think this was in quotation, so I think it's actually in the act, consequence of economic growth and development untampered by adequate concern and conservation.
Good Lord.
Wordy.
Yeah,
That is
pretty wordy. So basically,
That is wordy.
from animals becoming extinct from a consequence of human growth, taking resources, land away.
What do you know what like the trigger for that would be, or what was, or had it been like a fight that had been going on? Did it have to go through
Of
Congress?
what made it start?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got that. Well, so first, like I'll get into that. The purposes of the Endangered Species Act, or ESA, are twofold. It's the prevention, extinction, and to recover species to a point where the law's protections are not needed. So like the overall goal is to like list an animal, protect it, and then delist it eventually.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So in order to do that, it oftentimes requires protecting species and the ecosystems. So like birds like mosquitoes. So they have to protect, like you can't just wipe out the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not only like the
Like the
animals
food-
themselves, it's
the
their
food
ecosystem.
chain.
Yeah. The ESA requires the ESA requires agencies to designate imperiled species as threatened or endangered. And I think to do that, there was one week we talked about how it was somewhere in Washington, like they were filing a petition to protect an animal, and it was like a marmot or something in like a small region in the Cascades. People petitioned to say this animal needs to be on the endangered species list, and then the government has like so many days to review it, and they issue like a 90-day review, and so it kind of goes back and forth.
You have to have people on that petition that are of like authority in that field.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a full case study and like
Oh, okay.
supportive evidence.
It's not just we need this many signatures.
Yeah, right. Because then that's what triggers these agencies to go out and do a study on how bad is it, like what is happening, why is it happening, how can we fix it?
Is there like a specific government entity that does
Yeah,
that?
it's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Marine Fisheries Service.
Oh.
So like that one thing that it does is prohibits harassment, harming, and hunting of listed species, and then the Fish and Wildlife and Marine Fisheries are in charge of like enforcing that and setting the limits and everything.
So is that like the United States DNR,
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
the federal DNR?
So there were a bunch of iterations that came along before the ESA was passed. And the first was the Endangered Species Preservation Act of 1966. And this came like after, so like it just kept kind of ramping up and up and up. There were treaties signed, international treaties about like animal protection, habitat protection, and everything. And that wasn't working. The populations were still in decline. So then they came out with this act in 1966. And in this time, there was an estimated 16 whooping cranes left in the wild.
Whoop.
Like that was one of the reasons, like there was things like that where they started saying, okay, we got to like start taking this shit more seriously. Shit's getting pretty bad. So in 1969, Congress passed an act to provide some more congressional authority and actually like give some funding and some teeth to actually being able to protect and do anything, and not just say like, hey, you can't do that, give them a little bit of power. And right off the bat, the first group that they listed was 14 mammals, 36 birds, 6 amphibians, and 22 fish.
Right off the bat?
Yeah. So the first ones that they ever listed were only considered game or wild bird.
So hunters were going out hunting this bird for X amount of years and then starting to see a decline, or those birds aren't coming back to where they would go hunting for generations.
Well,
And those are, now they're saying, well, these are endangered, so let's get these on the list, bring them back so we can
kind
hunt
of.
them.
I mean, yeah, they're probably sounding the loudest alarm
Yeah.
that it's happening and coming to the realization. But also, I think they just didn't maybe think of, because like what was added to it in 69 were mollusks and crustaceans. So I think they may not have, or they may have just like said, let's just start with game animals, then we'll like slowly add more stuff to
Sure.
it.
And then they add like a criminality to killing these animals.
Yeah.
then?
One of the big things was increasing the punishments for poaching, unlawful importation or sale of any of the species that are listed. That included a fine up to $10,000 and up to 1 year in jail.
Damn. That was in 1969?
Yeah.
That'll make
Go
you
get
think
it.
twice.
Damn right it will.
Yeah, $10,000.
Hey, really quick before we go further, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but you listed all those animals and species that were on that endangered list right from the jump. Was there like a process that you had to go through to get that animal? Because I'm sure it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like there's a
What do you
group
mean to get it? To get it on the list?
to get it on the list.
You talked
Like
about
I'm sure
the
there's a group that
petitioning, right?
studied. Oh, that's what the petition was for?
Yeah, a local, like say, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation,
Right.
they'll do a study on elk in a certain area and say,
This
is why elk are endangered.
This
Here's the
meets the
evidence
criteria.
for why they're endangered.
Okay.
And this is what's happening.
so then they get on the petition with their animal as an elk foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
And
Okay.
it's
And
gotta
then
be
the government has,
legitimate,
the government has to review it and then decide, yes, we're going to investigate this. Like,
Sure.
no, there's not enough evidence. Try and like do some more work and come back. Or
Sure.
something.
Okay.
I'm
I
sure
got
there's
you.
a lot of like universities and
Oh,
all
yeah.
sorts of organizations that
Oh,
get involved
yeah,
with that kind of stuff.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get into like, there's a pretty crazy stat about what Cornell University did that surprised me. We'll get into. So in 1969, so we started 66, 69, the next one was passed. And then in 1973, President Nixon, I was trying to think if I could do his voice or not, but I don't think I can do it now.
I can't even imagine his
trying.
voice right now. What is his voice?
Nixon declared,
Try to do it.
all I can think of is the people need to know their president's not a crook. Is that what he said?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Nick. Now that,
No,
now
I
that
didn't do
hear
it.
you not
I didn't do it
Nixon, I'm
right.
like, where's
Yeah.
that? Doesn't sound like Nixon.
Where's he from?
California or no, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. But he declared that current species conservation efforts to be inadequate, and he called on Congress to pass a comprehensive endangered species legislation.
Go get
Nixon. He actually signed a lot of environmental protection stuff into law.
it. Damn it.
But then he also did some shit like vetoed the Clean Water Act
Yeah.
and like took all the money from it.
and Watergate.
Too bad it wasn't
Yeah.
young American.
I mean, there's-
boy comfort,
No,
conservation.
I don't know what you mean.
in Vietnam.
All right, so
Okay.
so he wanted Congress to pass it, and pass it they did in 1973. It's the same base act that is still around today. I don't know if it went to the Supreme Court, but for some reason a Supreme Court justice gave his quote on it, and it was that it's like one of the most sweeping conservation, wildlife protection, animal acts in the world. Like the most, just like,
DSA.
yeah.
Well, goddamn
Yeah.
right. Right? That doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean, yeah,
It's a massive, massive thing. And
yeah,
an
it's a lot of
undertaking.
power. Yeah.
Good lordy.
So one thing that was cool about the act is it was written by a diverse group of lawyers and scientists that incorporated a bunch of new principles and ideas to conservation and wildlife conservation. And a lot of the biologists were from the different marine biologists, mammal biologists, kind of the whole spectrum of scientists.
How would you like to be in that room when they had their like initial meeting? Or
there's people
like,
arguing like the manatee deserves to be on there.
Oh, that's not what I was
We
thinking.
need
I
to
was
keep
thinking
that
like this-
power plant running at full speed.
I was thinking just bringing it back.
Burned all the coal.
Whatever it takes.
I wasn't thinking it like that. I was thinking the cohesiveness of just having all these brilliant biologists and people in a room. That shit would be.
Oh yeah.
I imagine it's all hunky dory. That's
I don't know. I think it's a very complicated.
I'm not
thing.
talking about the
There's a lot of
voting
interest.
process or that. Just like
Well,
once
so-
they picked what they're doing, and then they have their initial kickoff meeting with all the biologists
Yeah.
that they have funding for. That's just
Oh, yeah.
And they're
so
like,
cool.
you have 100 or probably more like $500,000.
What's the
Here's a
possibilities?
study. What
What can we
study do you
do?
want to do?
Oh man, that'd be so cool.
That
Yeah.
would be cool.
Man.
All right. So next, I'll hit some. This is like some of the stats of how the ESA has performed
yeah.
since 1973.
Let's go.
There are success stories, and there's not a ton of success stories, but it has a 99% success rate when it comes to preventing species from going extinct once they're under the protection of the ESA.
99%.
shit.
Like if you get listed, 99% of the animals listed have not gone extinct.
I mean, you're begging the question. What's the 1%?
So 11 domestic species have gone extinct after being listed.
American domestic?
Yeah. Because it was weird when I looked up the list. Some of them were in Guam
Yeah.
and like some of the
American
other
territory.
atolls. Yeah.
What do they consider domestic?
A lot of this stuff was continental U.S. It's like a big part of it. Like Alaska is kind of an anomaly within the country because it's kind of more wild and out there than
Yeah.
we can't really affect it as much. Your neighbor state.
Yeah, but what's a domestic animal?
One of them was
Native
like
animal?
one of them was a warbler. One of them was Hawaiian honey creeper.
Doesn't domestic mean
Yeah,
like
I'm sorry,
like
I'm
it's
confused. I was thinking you were
domicile?
going to name off like 20 dogs.
Oh no,
Or does that mean
no,
like
domestic to
in-house?
the U.S. Yeah, like endemic to the
okay.
U.S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, you
So I
like
was like,
domesticated, like
How many fucking
like Harry
dogs
up
have been just
there.
wiped out, dude?
Yeah.
Actually,
Good
and
Lord.
that's all
We've
that's
created
died.
more
Jeez.
domestic animals than we've lost.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, now I'm on track again. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I've been confused.
But yeah, so 11 species total that are endemic to the United States. Over 1,700 species have been on the list since 1973. 1,500. That's plants and animals.
On
That
the endangered
seems
species.
like a very high success rate.
Oh
That
yeah,
seems really
yeah.
high.
Only 11.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
That's great.
but then the other side of the coin is
no.
57 species have been recovered and removed. So that's still not a lot that have been removed.
Okay, so there's a lot. Though 99% of those species are endangered.
Yeah.
They get off the endangered list, but that's not. But then you keep going. That's 56% of those 99%
No.
have been wiped off that list completely.
No.
Oh
That's
shit!
not what I said.
What is going on?
What
So-
is going on?
So 1,700 species have been put on the endangered protection, or I think at least what's the other one? At risk, not at risk, threatened.
Yeah.
But only 57 species have been recovered fully and delisted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So what
Yeah,
you're
but you
saying
said
is
57%.
is like
Oh, okay. So
57.
species, not percent.
so once you get
Yeah.
on the list, it's hard to get off
Yeah.
of the list.
And that's one of the arguments against it is once you list something, there's no going back. But it does take a long. Think of like a.
Well, that's because of a bunch of fucking people that
Yeah.
don't give a shit.
And how do we
that
know
don't put
like
any effort and start defunding this stuff? Like, no kidding.
how do we know like what are we referencing our healthy populations off of and
I think they are
all of that kind of
realistic.
stuff?
Like I have some bald eagle stats, and that kind of is a good, like a gut check kind of one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was one of the early, like that was those first acts in '66. The bald eagle was one of the first ones that had protections Like before,
that makes sense.
there was only like a hand, like alligator. American alligator was one. I
was
think.
the turkey on it?
No, I don't think that's surprising.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw the turkey anywhere.
You figured they would have.
But that's a big recovery story, too.
Back
What
in
are the
day.
stats?
So, first, do you know what year the bald eagle? Sorry, and Patrick. Sorry if this is a trigger for you. Patrick hates bald eagles.
I don't hate
He
them.
thinks they're boring.
I'm bored of them now.
That plays right into this story, actually. So, do you know what year they were adopted as the national symbol for the U.S.? We can go like a 30-year, like an era, 30-year time span. What year was the bald eagle adopted?
I would say like in the mid 1900s, early 1900s.
Say 1700s.
Patty Cakes wins.
Yeah.
Are you shit?
1782.
Well, yeah, because it was originally the turkey, and then we decided that the bald eagle was a much more fierce. I believe it was Benjamin Franklin,
I thought he wanted the turkey.
or he wanted the turkey. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah, 1782.
You know,
Pretty early on. That was like one of the first priorities. Okay,
I feel
fellas,
really,
what's our symbol
I
gonna
feel
be?
really dumb. I
Seafaring.
my
Like
mouth.
1950.
Hey, dude.
It doesn't
Fouled
matter
off
what
way before my
stupid
brain
shit you
started
say.
working.
No, this is all new to me, interesting.
Yeah.
and I'm
I
just,
consider
I'm
myself a
hearing it
patriot,
now, man.
and I said that.
The bald eagle.
I embarrassed myself.
1970, right?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, when Nixon did the
Nixon
Endangered
did it.
Species Act.
Name the bald eagle the bird, baby. God, was that the News
That was a
Panther?
long news path.
Good
It was a long one.
Lord.
But that's okay because we kind of all had our own homework.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Brad did his, and that was his news panther. And I think my story that I have about success and conservation is going to roll right off of Brad's just right. So if you don't mind, Patty, if I do my story after break,
Dude,
then
after
you do
break,
yours?
you go to town, brother.
okay?
I'm
Sounds
fine with
good.
that.
Let's do it. All right, guys, are you ready for a little bit of Hoosier conservation history?
Dude, let's bring it home.
Yeah. We're home right here, which I found out, when I looked into it, I didn't think like, I don't know, you don't think of Indiana with our grand national or our grand state park system or whatever. No, at least nationally, I don't think we're known.
No,
Like the
we're
big
definitely
ones.
not known. We have a national park, though. I mean, that is true, but it is shrinky dinky and definitely not known.
Yes. But the cool thing is Indiana has a very important part in the history of our national park system.
Whoa, is this what your story's going to be about?
Yes. It
Let's
all
go.
starts with a Mr. Colonel Richard Lieber, a German American.
Girl Dick Lieber.
He
That's what I'm talking
is
about.
known as the father of the Indiana State Park System.
Can you say his name in a German accent?
Colonel Richard Lieber.
That was really good.
That was
That was way better than the Nixon accent earlier. Way better. That was good.
Damn.
Sorry, Brad. Sorry, man.
He was born in 1869 in Deutschland. He immigrated to Indianapolis, where he had a couple of unks hanging out there, and that was in 1891. And he dabbled. Well, he came from a bit of an affluent family in Germany, and he came over to Indiana
I
here.
feel like that's a great time to be in the USA, like post Civil War, pre World War One.
Yeah.
That's just
rebuilding.
you're just moving west.
Yeah.
You're just exploding.
Whatever you want out of this country, go get it.
Go
Yep.
get your 50 acres or whatever.
Yeah.
And he became a very successful businessman in Indianapolis. He did many things. Like I think he managed like a hardware store, did insurance, did I got all the notes here, but I don't want to run through it.
Damn, you had to have insurance back then? Like wagon insurance?
You know what? I always look back at like, oh, there were insurance companies?
Yeah.
Like there was everything.
I'm sure from the jump.
What were they insuring?
Homes,
Yeah.
horses,
Moneymaker.
cars, or
You better
wagons.
insure your horse.
Imagine appraising a house in 1890.
That would be
$20.
$20. Yeah, $20.
$20.
But well, he married into an affluent Indianapolis family, and that's when he started to dabble in more civil affairs in Indy, and he got into all sorts of stuff like that. And then eventually he took a trip to Yosemite in California.
It blew everybody's mind.
And it blew his mind.
That's
Imagine
Roosevelt,
that.
John Muir.
Yep.
That's a hell of a trip
Yosemite's
to
it,
take.
dude.
And what year was that?
I don't know.
That's like
the
Oregon
exact
Trail
year.
shit. Going out to Yosemite in like the late 1800s.
Right. And he was like, well, Indiana doesn't like have that scale of, monumental landscape, but there are some beautiful places in this state that he decided that he really would love to protect and then provide a place like Yosemite for Hoosiers.
Wait, I'm curious. Did he go
I
out
have
there
a question.
just for Yosemite?
That
Like
I
he
don't
heard
know.
about it?
I'm sure it was like you don't just go west for Yosemite, right?
But
At
yeah,
that period of
I
time
don't
in
know,
the
dude.
early
But, like,
1900s.
But like, are they going on cross country vacations?
well, they could have gone by train.
That's probably like
I mean,
year.
what-
That's
what-
probably like a year-long trip.
What year are we talking? Roosevelt and John Muir. I mean, John Muir's whole shtick was he was sending articles back to the East Coast to influence people to come out and visit those areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't too late after that.
I
mean,
wonder
so-
if that
But
was.
still, but he was the president. He could probably travel a little easier than.
But you're also thinking wagon. There's also train. I mean, Muir was
By
doing a
then, I
great
would
job.
think so.
That was his whole thing.
Yeah,
was
I
getting
guess
people
actually
out
the
there.
train had been like a couple decades.
Yeah.
cross country.
I had a question. I can't remember. I wonder what the landscape looked like in Indiana in the late 1800s. Like we know it now, and we could say, "Oh yeah, Indiana doesn't have that much wildlife or
Old growth?
ecosystem stuff like that." But like in the late 1800s, the landscape here looks quite a bit. Although we discovered in the last a while ago in one of
Yeah.
our episodes that we've pretty much demolished all of our trees. But even like the marshlands, the black swamp area. I mean, I wonder what that landscape.
Yeah,
Anyway, keep going.
Remember Kankakee Sands? They said they drained the whole lake because it
Yeah,
was so shallow and turned it into farmland.
that's right.
So I'm
Buffalo, bison still being around. Are we
Yeah.
talking herds of big old creatures?
my grandpa was born
elk?
in like 1908,
Yeah.
and he lived on the same farmland in Indiana his whole life. And I don't know, it kind of all seems the same.
Does he have
Remember-
journals?
There are some.
I saw an elk today, May 1st,
literally are.
1910.
Yeah. That's a whole nother story, though. Anyway, after Colonel Lieber's visit to Yosemite, he decided he's like, I want people to enjoy nature, conserve the beautiful land in Indiana.
Wait, how did he get to rank a colonel?
That comes later.
Oh,
But he basically paved the way for conservation in Indiana by forming the State Parks Department. And as the chairman, Lieber opened the state's first two parks in 1916 on Indiana's centennial,
Yo.
which
What
would
were
be, McCormick's Creek State Park and Turkey Run State Park.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
been to Turkey Run.
I have
yeah.
been to Turkey Run. That is a different landscape
Yeah.
than what you'd expect in Indiana.
Yeah. And it was all privately funded, including donations from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yo.
Oh, nice.
Cool beans.
Which is,
Hey,
I
yeah.
thought that was a pretty cool fact. Which is funny because these parks were established in 1916, and the first Indianapolis 500, when the heck was that? 1911. So it
Damn.
wasn't.
So just
Too
5
much-
years before
yeah,
they were throwing money
before.
into conservation, they were doing their first race.
Yeah, the first 500. The
Ooh.
first race was a race of helium balloons in 1909.
Really?
Then they went from helium balloons to
Yeah, to race
NASCAR
cars.
or
They're like-
IndyCar.
That's a slow race right there.
Yeah.
We gotta speed this up a bit, y'all.
He established those two parks in 1916 on Indiana Centennial. And then in 1919, he became the first director of the Indiana Department of Conservation, which is the predecessor to the Department of Natural Resources.
Wow.
He served until 1933, And under his watch, Indiana established 10 state parks and many memorials and historical sites.
Go get it, King.
And in 1919, the attendance of these parks was 33,000. And in 1932, the attendance was 623,000 in Indiana.
Damn.
He also pushed for models for charging admission and user fees in the parks to simply just to fund it and maintain it and expand it if needed. He also championed park inns, nature guides, and simply just preserving land for the sake of it, like buying land and just preserving it, even if it's not the most beautiful picnic area or whatever.
This guy's whole call was travel to Yosemite, realize that we don't have that, but that there are beautiful landscapes in Indiana. And then he spent the rest of his life fighting for preservation of land and getting people out to that land.
Yeah. Till the end of his days.
Boy, that guy had an epiphany out there at Yosemite.
It doesn't end there. Now, even today, Indiana ranks high among the most self-sufficient park systems among all the states.
Really?
And the high quality of our systems.
I wonder if
It's small, but well-maintained.
Yes, I agree.
I wonder if that's the difference between free and paid. Because a lot of them are free.
Yeah. And we have substantial park systems. They're small, but they're abundant.
Yeah.
He also advised the National Park Service, and he helped to organize and eventually chaired the National Conference on State Parks, which he chaired the one in 1921 at Turkey Run in Indiana.
Dude, that is awesome.
And Indiana eventually became a model for other states to develop their park systems. And at the time of his passing, Colonel Lieber was considered the most influential champion for U.S. natural resource conservation.
This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble like even comprehending. I'm just still. This is awesome.
He's a cool dude. I was really like blown away by
Lieber?
Colonel Richard Lieber.
Colonel Richard Lieber.
And he became a colonel.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
It's an honorary colonel because the governor of Indiana at the time when the United States started sending troops over to Europe for World War I, he needed a liaison between the U.S. War Department and the office of the Indiana governor, and he chose Lieber to do it, and he was given the rank of colonel.
There's your answer,
I'd rather
Brad.
get an honorary rank of colonel than doctor.
I think so too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Would you?
Oh yeah.
Colonel Bradley R.
Yeah. Over doctor.
Dr.
Shit.
Bradley R.
Yeah. Give me
Oh,
colonel.
yeah.
Colonel. What about you?
Yeah,
Phil?
Colonel.
Colonel.
100%.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
colonel.
But I mean,
What if it was commander?
I mean, there's a lot of
I would
doctors.
go
Oh,
commander.
baby.
Are you kidding me?
There's a lot
You're
of
done,
doctors
dude.
out there. I think colonel's more rare than doctor.
Colonel
Oh,
is
yeah.
probably more rare.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Do you have anything about like how, like what the process is or something along those lines for how he began to get people out at these parks?
I think he did a lot of the like politicking and all that. Just trying to get into the governmental system to, because the only way you're going to ultimately protect this stuff is to make it part of the system.
I got the protecting, but then once you protect it, how do you get people there? Like that number incline that you gave us just a second ago, that's dramatic in just a few years.
Yeah.
So like I'm just, and if you don't, then that's fine. I understand. But
I'm
like
not
I'm
sure.
curious because that's a lot of propaganda, a lot of messaging to go out to people in late 1800s, early 1900s That's a lot of stuff going out.
I think it's just getting the word out there. Like anything, you have to advertise and say, "Hey,"
And they called it recreating.
Yeah, it's
Who
recreation.
doesn't want to go recreate?
Come fishing.
Maybe
come
that's a
out,
part
come
of like
down.
what you're saying is shortly after the Civil War, everybody's starting to heal up. The nation's starting to feel itself again. And now it's like, all right, now let's have a little fun.
Yeah, it's like the swinging 20s.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But 1900.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you
I
think
get it.
these parks, they're kind of just outside of the orbit of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's like right outside of, Bloomington,
Right.
and just west of Indy, almost to
Yeah.
Illinois. Like it's outside of town.
Like I was just watching a video that was talking about the first national campaign for the national parks, like poster campaign. And now I think that was in the 1930s. And they had only commissioned it was part of the New Deal. They'd only commissioned like
A great
Yeah,
movie.
4 or 5
They talked
posters.
about the New Deal with the park systems and
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm sure old Lieber was on top of that.
Oh yeah, he was definitely on
Yeah.
top of that.
Yeah, it makes me want to see, because the national parks posters, their first posters were probably the coolest posters I've ever seen
Oh, that'd be
for national
awesome.
parks. So it makes me wonder if Indiana had some. That'd be cool to see like a retro like Turkey Run.
Yeah, that would.
Visit Turkey Run.
Oh, just like Indiana specific.
Yeah.
that would be cool.
There's
to see.
there's a series that ran by Creative Network for national parks called See America. I have a book up there for See America, and I did get one from I can't find it now, but I got one for the Indiana Dunes. And
Yeah.
it's cool, dude.
Yeah. Well, he died. When he died at Canyon Inn, which is at Turkey Run, and they buried his ashes there and at the Richard Lieber State Recreation Area, which is kind of in that orbit of Indianapolis, near Coverdale.
Up the street, around the corner.
Cloverdale, north of McCormick's Creek. And then one of his random job that he took up was art critic for the Indianapolis Journal. I thought that was funny.
This dude just seemed like a fluent. He's one of
Well, he
those
was
guys that was
German,
doing
so-
something good.
He was a real go-getter.
Real go getter.
Yeah, so I thought that this was a wonderful story because not only is it somebody that improved the Hoosier State in terms of conservation, but just influenced the whole freaking thing nationally.
Yeah.
And I figured you guys would be pretty excited about that.
Yeah, dude's pretty cool.
It's cool. Yeah, and that Lieber dude is awesome. But what I think what I get kind of geared up or gassed up about there is the state parks. Like,
Yeah.
We do a lot of talking about the national parks, especially here in Indiana, because you kind of dream about the big
Right,
parks with the
right.
big mountains and the big animals and all these things. And
Well,
you
because
don't.
we've always grown up like, oh, Indiana. It's not
you
as
just hear
cool
all
as
the
the
time,
other
the only way to see
states."
anything cool is driving 10 hours, that
Right.
kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
it's just not true. And it's
We've
fun
been taught to like
hear
hate
that.
our state.
Yeah, yeah, and it's fun to hear that this guy from the jump was promoting our state parks, and he didn't worry about national parks. We weren't going after that funding. We were going to keep it small, local,
Yep.
for our local people to enjoy, and I think that's fucking sweet.
And everybody
I gotta
said,
say,
whoa, that's pretty cool what you're doing.
yeah,
How
especially
do you
with,
do it?
with the birding adventures that we've gone on. I spend more time at state parks in the last 2 years than I
Yeah.
have anywhere else. Really,
Don't
you know
discount the Hoosier State.
what I mean? Don't discount it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm there for that. I suppose it's my turn now.
You're welcome. You're welcome for the awesome national park system
Dude,
from Indiana.
from Indiana. On behalf of Travis and Colonel Lieber, you're welcome. You're welcome for everything. Is it my turn now?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm interested to hear what you got.
Dude, you had the United States. You brought it back down to the Hoosier State, Indiana. I'm going global.
Oh,
And
I thought you were going to say Fort Wayne.
No, I'm going even smaller. That way, 30% of our listening audience has no fucking idea what we're talking about. No, I'm going global, dude. And this is a win coming from this year specifically. It's been going on for a few years, but the title of this whole thing is World Reaches Milestone for Nature. The fucking world, y'all. We have reached a milestone. Yeah, that's right. In fact, 10% of the ocean is now officially designated within protected and conserved areas.
Oh, shit.
10% of the ocean.
Protected by who?
Well, we'll get into a little bit of that, but it's more indigenous communities, countries, everyone. This is such a massive deal. I'll get into a lot of like that stuff, but I you know me, I like to read my notes, so don't fuck me up, Brad.
Yeah, Brad,
That's my goal.
I know it is. I was waiting on my side.
You guys always fuck me up every
They're gonna
week.
throw a wrench into this son of a bitch.
Okay, so 10% of the world's oceans is now in protected and conserved areas, right? So that number is extremely awesome and represents considerable process. I mean, I think so. But an area approximately the size of the Indian Ocean still needs to be designated by 2030 if the international ambitions for this ocean protection program are to be achieved. Okay? So we've reached 10%. We now still have to conserve a size roughly the size of the Indian Ocean to be able to reach our goals.
What's the goal?
I'm glad you asked. Matter of fact, I was hoping I would lead you that way.
Lead me right there?
Yes, I did. I tried. So let me explain. In December of 2022, at the conference of the parties to the Convention on Biodiversity, or CBD, governments from around the world collectively committed to conserve 30% of Earth's land and seas by 2030. So they're calling it the 30-30.
Land and seas.
Land and sea, right? Okay.
That's an ESPN
any
program,
specific
isn't it?
ratio to that? Or?
No specific ratio. It was just a large goal. This commitment is actually target 1 through 3.
And the USA hasn't withdrawn from this?
Nope.
Oh.
No, the USA as of May 7th, I think this article came out of this year. So what this is actually target number 1 through 3, or more specifically 3 out of 23 targets that this group has put forward for the future of our global society and our oceans and lands.
Yeah.
More specifically, oceans in this story. Okay. So we have the CBD. You also have the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, KMGBF. So this is so you have the CBD. This is a member group of 195 nation states, including the EU. Okay, so you have the EU that has all those countries, plus 195 nation states, added with a bunch of indigenous communities all over the world, because as we're starting to conserve this biodiversity, conserve these oceans, we want to take into consideration traditional patterns and the indigenous communities that live and thrive in these areas that we're also trying to save. Make sure we're doing the right thing for them. So what this KMGBF is the framework for how they're going to go forward in their processes for saving land and seas on Earth. Okay? Are we there?
We're there.
You guys have any questions?
I'm tracking.
So far? Okay. With this target, the framework, CBD parties committed to conserving nature through protected and conserved areas, including those that allow sustainable use of resources and also recognizing indigenous and traditional territories. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to say we need 30% of land and seas to be conserved. The way we're going to mark that as into that first bucket is that we are going to set out land, like a size, a space, a circle, or whatever of this area is going to be conserved and then managed by a group. The management kind of comes into this a lot because they want to make sure that it's not just falling into a certain bucket, but that at that point they're being managed accurately, so then they can report back and show that it's being successful, that we're bringing environment or ecosystem back, or this ecosystem isn't falling apart, things along those lines.
Yeah, measuring anything is the hardest part.
Right, exactly. And then reporting those measurements. And so by 2024, so 2022, this was put together. By 2024, 8.6% of ocean and coastal areas globally were within documented, protected, and conserved areas. So 8.6 2 years later, then 2 years later, because now we're in 2026, about 5 million more square kilometers of ocean, which is an area bigger than the size of the European Union.
Right.
That's massive. Has been added to that list. So that's where we get the 10.1. 10.1. But there's still a ton more work to do.
I have a lot of questions, Patrick.
Go ahead, please try. I'm probably not going to have the answers.
Where do they pinpoint these areas of water, and how do, if it's all over the world, don't you have to work with the nationality that's near that water, or if it's in their
How do they keep that water
influence?
How do you keep that water from leaving their zone of influence and going into a non-zone of influence?
I don't know much about the zone of influences, but this is where the CBD comes in, is that this is one big motion by the global community of countries to
what
say
authority do they have?
I mean, any normal old authority that any environmental group probably has. Although there's a lot of government funding and a lot of government agencies working at this program. I think what this highlights, when I was reading through this, is the global recognition of what's going on with the climate and with our ecosystems alike.
And is it more of a we're just trying to get people on board, and then they will get enough people on board for whatever that area they're concerned with, and they can...
No, I mean, I think very much now back to the management thing, and I'll get into a little bit later, but the management is kind of one of the pain points that they're showing.
Yeah.
That a country will say, okay, now we've protected X amount of miles of ocean or land, more specifically ocean. So now what they're saying is that, okay, well, where's the reporting? How do we know what's going on?
Yeah.
What you say it's protected and in these conserved areas, but how do we know that it's being successful? How do we know that ecosystem isn't falling apart or not rebuilding?
Do they not let fishing trawlers through?
A Chinese ghost fleet?
No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Not happening in these areas. Okay. So, and then I think you asked the question, I can't remember, how do they pick these sorts of things?
Yeah.
I don't think they're picking it necessarily on habitat of animal or habitat of species and stuff. I think what they're doing is, they're probably doing that, no doubt about it. But I think a lot of it is this is a good area that isn't touched, or we can manage easier or better. So we're going to add this to
And
this
it could be like
land.
Colonel Lieber, let's not just protect land because it's pretty. Let's just do it for the sake of it.
But isn't it also kind of this is our land now? We're taking over this.
And that's what the water thing kind of
whoever it is that
confuses
goes
me with.
is man
No,
monitoring it.
Well, because it's their own. It's their own country.
Oh, it's not international waters.
Well, I'll get into that. I'll get into that a little bit because that's different. So that's their. I'll get into that.
Okay.
So that's considered something different, and that's another pain point. So there's really two pain points that they're suffering from right now, and that's the other pain point. So there's the pain point of management and reporting, and there's the pain point of the further out water. That's what I'll call it for right now until I give you the actual quote. So I just want to go through a sweet little quote, or long quote, by Neville Ash, director of the UNEP-WCMC, which I will get into what that actually means. We all depend on the ocean for our survival. Over half of the world's oxygen is produced by life in the ocean. The great strides at the national level over the past 2 years to protect more than 10% of the marine realm is therefore a moment for celebration. But Reaching this milestone is a reminder of how much work there is still to do. The coverage of protected and conserved areas at sea still needs to triple by 2030, so to meet the 30% mark, and it is critical that both new and existing areas are managed effectively to deliver positive outcomes for people and nature. So that's a quote by Neville Ash, the director of the UNEPWCMC. When he says managed effectively, this is one of the two major pain points right now. Let me explain further. The KMGB, which is the which is the framework for the CBD, the UN Environment Program World Conservation Monitoring Center, which is the UNEPWCMC, and the International Union for Conservation of Nature,
It's like Scrabble.
the IUCN, are helping to monitor progress with these ambitious goals. The official progress report, titled Protected Planet Report 2024, so put out 2 years ago, put out in 2024, is known as the most comprehensive analysis of global progress towards the KMBGF target 3 states.
I'm going to need this dumbed down,
Dude,
please.
I'm telling you, bro. The KMGB once again.
Brad. This is
I
what
know.
Brad does.
Actually,
Patrick.
when I was writing this, I thought it was funny. The KMGB remember, is the framework that's kind of like, so you have the CBD, which is the group of 195 nation states, plus the EU, plus indigenous people. So that's the CBD. And then once they all met, they came up with the framework for how they were going to conserve, protect, and rebuild biodiversity and ecosystem in these areas, in the oceans. So the framework that they came up with was the KMBGF. And then you have all these other organizations that joined the CBD from all over the world to help get this all moving. Right. So it's this it's fascinating because this is the world coming together. So I think that's why it's so difficult. It's not just a few anagrams here and there. It's a lot of them because there are organizations from all over the world that stepped up to take part in this global saving the environment initiative kind of a thing. And that's what kind of struck my fancy, was what a good story that the earth could come together to save the fucking earth. And part of
it's a global initiative.
It's a global initiative, and you don't hear about that all that often anymore. So it sounded interesting. So then, what the CBD came out with, along with these groups, was a Protected Planet Report 2024, which, so from 2022 to 2024, they studied. They gave a report in 2024, which was the most comprehensive analysis of this global ambitious project to show where they're at and what's going on to the world.
Where are we at?
So, well, we're at 10%. We're 10% of this ocean has been now designated protected and conserved.
That's a wild number.
It's a wild number, especially when their goal is 30% by 2030, and we've already reached a third of that percentage in 4 years, really.
Is that
but
mostly coastal land or water?
hey, I'm glad you asked, because I got more on that, because that goes to Brad's question a little bit. It found that data was insufficient to fully measure and understand the effectiveness of systems of protected and conserved areas. So we have 10% of these waters, only 1.3% of the ocean that has been covered by protected areas have management that's effective enough to assess and report out to this global organization.
I could understand. The ocean is a big place.
Well, even this 10%, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of reporting, a lot of management. So that's their big hurdle right now is super duper. We met this 1/3 goal of our initiative. But now, how do we manage this protected land to make sure that there isn't whaling, that there isn't oil dumps, that there isn't trawling, things along those lines happening in this protected water? What they are saying is, while 10% is wonderful, without proper management and data, they are having a tough time being confident these parts of the oceans are being protected and conserved the way they are hoping. The other pain point, which is referred to as the high seas, which I think that is the coolest.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a pirate of the high seas.
Like you're out there.
The high seas.
Did you ever play Sea of Thieves?
No.
It's a pretty fun Xbox game.
Yeah.
You really feel like you're out there.
I'll try that. So the high seas. So the Protected Planet Report of 2024 has also found that while the strongest progress since 2022 had been in the ocean, most of this has been done in national waters or coastline. So you have the government that goes in, they find a coastline or water right off the coastline. They say, we're going to protect this. Now it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit, to Brad's point. In these areas beyond national jurisdiction, however, despite the high seas comprising of over 60% of the surface of the ocean, coverage protected and conserved areas is only 1.66% out there. So that becomes the other pain point. Is great. We're doing a great job on our coastlines. We're doing a great job nationally, but these international waters or high seas, where most of the biodiversity is happening, 60% of that, and then conversely, where most of our oxygen is coming from, that water's not being protected at all, or 1.66% of it. So that becomes the second pain point.
That's a very difficult thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
Far more difficult than, I mean, you might as well be doing conservation on the moon.
It seems like we've explored more of the moon than we have a lot of that waters. I definitely would agree. So you ask, what can be done?
Yes, sir.
Ask that.
What can be done?
Oh, thank you guys for asking. Just this year in January, the first international agreement focused on protecting marine biodiversity in international waters has come into play, called the UN High Seas Treaty, which just seems so neat to me. I get a kick out of the high seas. I'm sorry. The key element of the treaty is to put in place mechanisms to establish protected areas on the high seas. So we've recognized a pain point. We have all these organizations dealing with management of national waters or coastline.
Yeah.
And now recognizing through the Protected Planet Report of 2024 that we have a huge gap on the high seas, the EU government has come in and said, okay, like they've picked up that charter. They pulled that baton out of their first runner's hand, and they said, okay, we're going to do something about that. And they put together the High Seas Treaty to be able to start creating mechanisms to protect the high seas water and the ecosystems within it.
Does that include like overfishing and all that kind of stuff?
Well,
and haven't we've been fighting that forever, but we haven't really been, it hasn't been like an organized.
Sure.
fight.
So I'll go into, I mentioned the targets.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about right now is target 1 through 3, more specifically 3. There's 23 targets that the KMGBF has in their framework, in that framework, or the CBD has in the framework. Sorry. But really quick, if you are interested in keeping up with the story, you can set your alarms for 2027, early 2027, as that is when the next official evaluation of global progress on elements of target 1 through 3 will come out.
Hey Siri, set alarms for early 2027.
Yep, that's right. And that report will be called the Protected Planet Report of 2027. So we have something to look forward to in the future. I think if we were to kind of keep up with this, try to understand 2027, which is only a year away now. Not even a year away. You're right. So we will be getting a global report out as to how the global community is doing. And we've already reached a third of our progress in the oceans. I have some more information. The Conference of the Parties of the Convention of Biodiversity, the CBD, a legally binding international treaty dedicated to the conservation of ecosystems, the sustainable use of natural resources, and the fair sharing of benefits from genetic resources. So fishing, who gets to take those fish, how does all this stuff kind of be shared amongst ourselves? It's comprised of 195 member nations, including the EU. I've already said that. The Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the KMGBF, international blueprint adopted at the CBD to halt and reverse global biodiversity loss by 2030 and achieve a vision of living in harmony with nature by 2050. acts as the nature equivalent to the Paris Climate Agreement, setting specific actionable benchmarks for governments, businesses, and financial institutions. So, I mean, this is massive, right? This is a big thing. This ain't no thing. So just to end this, I'll go through some of those targets I mentioned, because I'm sure every listener is curious. If we've been mainly talking about target 3, what are the targets going forward all the way to 23? Targets 1 through 3 focus on spatial planning to stop biodiversity loss, restore 30% of degraded ecosystems, and the 30-30 goal to conserve at least 30% of the land and seas by 2030. So that's 1 through 3. Targets 4 through 8 aim to manage species, control invasive species by 50%, reduce pollution, mitigate climate change impacts on biodiversity. Targets 9 through 12 cover sustainable management of wild species, agriculture, forestry, and aquaculture, enhance nature's contributions to people, increase urban green spaces. Target 13, ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits from genetic resources. Targets 14 through 17, integrate biodiversity into planning, require business disclosures, reduce food waste, implement biosafety measures. That was fun to me. And then the last few, focus on eliminating harmful subsidies by $500 billion a year. Insane. Increase financial resources, strengthen capacity building, and ensure participatory gender-responsive approaches. So those are all the targets that we have by 2050. I think that is insane.
Keep in mind, this is global. This is large.
This is huge. I mean, we're talking about how hard it was to get, or easy for that dude to get state parks out. We're talking about the Endangered Species Act, and that's losing funding. And we have a global initiative that 195 countries, including the EU, are part of, to be able to save these waters from everything. And then those targets, I know I read them fast, but those targets are crazy. Like, we're talking about agriculture. We're talking about making sure we can share these resources amongst countries. I mean, there seems to be a really neat, understanding that this is for everyone, and we're willing to put a lot of effort towards that.
We're willing to say that we're willing to put a lot of effort towards that.
Touche, but I mean, that's why I wanted to start with the celebration first, in that I would agree with you, but 30% by 2030, which is only three and a half years away, and we've already reached a third of that. That is pretty tremendous. So it makes me hopeful that if they're putting such amount of effort towards already meeting a third, that we're definitely going to reach our 30-30 goal. And then if those same people are fighting for the other targets, we're going to crush it, dude. You guys don't seem jazzed about it. I think it's because it was a shitload of data, but I think it's fantastic.
I'm too cynical.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in the UN.
Yeah.
And countries around the world.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more self-interest than protecting the waters of the world.
Because all it takes is in the next administration and most any country to come in and say, we're not doing that.
Well, I think that's also, you're right, but to get out of a treaty is kind of a big deal. Yeah.
I mean, I do hope that, eventually we can come to terms, as a human race, that we need to figure out a way to protect all this stuff and share it.
Sure, but as of now, we haven't had diddly shit. Yeah. And what I'm telling you is now we have 195 countries, including the EU. So you may not give a shit in the UN, but the rest of the world is there and fighting towards something. So you got to start somewhere.
I have the perfect analogy. Like the ESA stuff in 1966, they were passing shit, but they had no teeth to do anything. By the end of it, they had it fine-tuned and figured out, and the authority to actually enforce shit. So it's kind of the same thing. This is the first step.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a massively large first step. 10%. That was my conservation story. That was Brad's conservation story. And that was Travey J's conservation story. I think, if anything, that anyone can take from this, that there's a lot of cool things that's happened for nature, by nature. And I think we're still fighting for that to this day. And although we take some bumps and some bruises, like you guys are being negative about, I also think that there's a hell of a lot of positivity coming.
Travis
on.
did call me pessimist, or what was it? Glass half full. But he meant glass half empty.
Yeah, that's the nature of it.
Well, all right, dudes, let's get the fuck out of here.
I do have kind of a little sentiment here from the Colonel. He had a philosophy that parks are rich storehouses of memories, a solace to the aged, and an inspiration to the young, emphasizing preservation, education, and public enjoyment.
Lieber. Colonel Lieber.
Colonel Lieber.
Nice. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Keep on stopping.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Say bye, Farron.
Hey, see you guys. Fantastic show, fellas.
Hell yeah. Thank you, sir.